Hi guys, welcome back to Learn Electronics Repair. This is the Roland Katana-100 Guitar Amplifier mainboard. I guess most of you saw part 1 of this repair where I tried to get this thing to work. So basically it acts like it's dead, no LEDs do anything, but it's drawing about 160 milliamps of power. It is doing something, and in the first video the last thing I checked is, was it reading this EPROM? So we have an EPROM here. 25L32006F, I think it says. So it definitely reads this EPROM. It probably reads all the contents. It's reading a lot of stuff from it. And then after that, it doesn't seem to do anything. Now, there's some guesswork in this, but I'm assuming this is the processor, Roland ESC2. And there's no data sheets for this. I've had a look. There is no data sheet or information. And this may be relevant because one of the subscribers, Light Runner, thank you very much, mate, Peter, sent me a file. So he's got this, I think, from Roland. And I think this is like a self-executing file you would run on your PC, and it then effectively updates the firmware in the device. If that's the case, it should contain the binary for the device, which is what's in the chip. And the idea is that if I can work out the size of the file that's in the chip and look at the file he sent me with a hex editor, or rather Detlef, well, who's right behind me now, we might be able to work out whether it contains the binary. But there's some questions here, and one of the questions is, does this EPROM actually contain the firmware? Because it may well be that this chip, Roland ESC2, has flash memory built in, and that may store its own firmware. And this may just be storing user settings. And the problem is, there's really very, very little information available about these. Most people say these are unrepairable, and that may be the case even for most. I'm sure they are repairable, it's just figuring out how. So what we're going to do in this video, I'm going to unsolder this EPROM. We're going to put it into the program and read the contents to see what's in there. Now, in our favour, we have another one of these amplifiers, Katana-100 Mark 1, the same as this one, and that one's working. So we could take the EPROM from that one and read the contents and program this one and see what that does. But first of all, before we start dismantling that one, which belongs to Detlef, by the way, let's see if we can program this using the file that Light Runner said. So I'll get us unsoldered. Let's see. Yes, Macronics, that's the logo that's on there, MX. Here is a generic one, SOP8. I'm pretty sure that's actually our package. Otherwise I would have chosen the generic one. Right, let's see if we can read it. So this should tell us if it's in actual fact the correct setting. Read. Yes, it's okay. So this ident is specific to a type of chip. Okay, it read it successfully, so I'm going to save that. Okay, and it saved it. Let's have a look at the file. Well, we can actually see it in here. So it starts ESC91, so we can see like some sort of ident there. Lots of data. And it only seems to have data in a fairly small portion in various blocks. Can you see that? Okay, so we can compare the contents here with the file we have, and let's see if it contains something like this. Okay guys, so we're now on Det's computer. We're in the other studio where we do the live streaming from, yeah. So we have two files here. There's Katana-100 bin. This is the file I read from the EPROM on the Katana will not boot. And the other file is the one that Light Runner sent us. So this one, Katana ARM bin it's called. This is from the Roland website. So Detlef, what do you think of these two files?
Okay, let's do a bit Notepad+ magic here. So move this to the other view. So I have them side by side. You can do this by right click on the header here and then move them over there. And there's a plugin on my Notepad+ installation that's a hex view. Okay. So I want to see this in hex.
Because they look the same to me.
and I want to see this in hex. So now I have a more detailed view, and we start at the beginning at 0. Why don't we start at the beginning? Now we start at the beginning.
Okay, but from what I can see, these look the same. Or are they the same?
From what we're seeing here right now, I'd say they are the same, because it starts with ESC 91 blah 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 blah.
Okay.
And this keeps going for, it doesn't matter in which file we scroll. So I scroll in the downloaded one, and there's some code at 0F200.
Okay.
More code, more code, more code, more code. And then it stops at somewhere here. So this could be a bootloader.
Okay, so that, if we look at the other one on the EPROM, this will be the same.
Yeah, I'll get you to AF0.
Okay.
AF0.
Yeah.
It's pretty much looking this. No, they're not.
They're not the same, are they?
They're not the same. No.
Okay.
So here's a difference to here, and well, let's keep scrolling.
Okay.
Doesn't end on the same plate. Could be an update. Could be some update. So nothing, big nothing, still nothing. And at 2000, there's nothing new. So AP068 updater with a date code here.
Okay.
Let's go to the same place on the other file.
So that's the downloaded file. This is the one I read from the EPROM, which I'm assuming would have all the version updated.
Yeah. It's the same. Look at here.
It's the same.
And
Okay.
it's even the same date. So, but let's have a look down here. Looks pretty much identical. We can do a binary conversion. We already know they're not identical.
So this is a comparison we're going to do.
Yeah, and you normally do this when under DOS.
Okay.
So I'll go run cd, and now I need to go to cd katana. Oh, maybe do a backslash first. And then do a file compare, fc. We need to do this in binary, and so we simply grab one of the files. Doesn't matter which sequence, and grab the other one.
Okay.
If they're identical, this should come out as a I'm done.
Okay.
Let's go. Oh, and they're not identical. But we already knew this. So if you need to file compare two files, we're not sure with that, FC is the way to go. This is the standard in every Windows installation.
That's interesting, because I usually use one of these hex editors to do it.
Well, you could, but this is the fastest way. And if you have a system that doesn't have a fancy schmancy hex editor,
Guys, do it that way.
Thank you. Well, it doesn't really help us, because it shows us now, oh, look, this all the differences here.
So we have a lot of differences between the files, but they both have the same structure, and as much as like there seems to be some sort of bootloader, and then from 2000, which is not 2000 because it's hex, we seem to have a program.
Yeah.
So there's no reason, because I've stored the original contents from this EPROM, I may as well now program the one which was downloaded.
Yeah, I don't see an offset here, so Peter from the Roland forum said something about offset. Be careful with that. I don't see an offset here, and the structure looks the same on both files. Could be a newer version, could be corrupted.
Although, yeah, the dates were the same and the versions were the same from what we could see.
Yeah. What we can't tell if this is corrupted. You need to flash it now and smack it in there and hope for the best.
Okay, let's do it. So I'm going to put the downloaded file into the EPROM. We're going to solder it back on, and let's see if it works.
Okay.
This is the downloaded file, so let's open this one. Okay. And write it to the EPROM. So to do that, we just click on P for Program and say Program. Well, we can see it's written all the content. It's now verifying the code to make sure it wrote correctly. And programming successful. So I'll put this EPROM back on the PCB and let's see what happens. Well, nothing changed. It still doesn't select any LEDs on here. So I would say that nothing actually happened. Yeah, or at least nothing positive happened. So it doesn't work still. So guys, Det's with me now. He's come from his cupboard where he was hiding. We keep him in there. Okay.
Repairing a guitar amp, by the way.
Repairing a guitar amp. One that has like proper analog components and things in it.
Through hole, completely through hole. Not this modern thing magic.
So we've been bouncing ideas, and what we've kind of come with is this. Det says that on his working one of these, the LEDs that indicate the mode don't light up straight away, do they? It takes some seconds from you powering on, and then one of the LED comes on.
A guitar amp that is booting up. Yes.
Yes. Your one with the thermionic valve boots up as well.
Well, yeah, true. But
So, okay, we end that conversation there. Guys, discuss. Okay, so basically, this is conjecture, but we think this is reasonable. So, we know this appears to have all the power rails, it boots up, but it just doesn't do anything. So, from the way that Det's behaving, it seems to make sense that it's reading from the EPROM. We know that, we saw it on the first video. It reads a load of stuff in and then starts executing that. And you would think probably that whoever designed this within that code, one of the first things it would do is some sort of self-diagnostic. So checking, is this okay? Is that okay? Because it takes several seconds before the LEDs come on.
It does. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we were thinking, okay, this is a computer in there. So the CPU, the big thing in the middle, would probably load all this operating system from the little flash ROM, the little one with the pink dot.
And then execute the code.
And then execute it, and probably does a self-test of the whole system.
Yeah.
So this is how I would do that. And
so we got to there, didn't we?
Yeah.
And I said, well, would it be faulty RAM? So this is SRAM, synchronous RAM, and this is SRAM. Now, you would think that probably one of the self-testers testing the RAM.
Sure.
Yeah, it just sounds reasonable, yeah. And I happen to know, and some of you guys have watched my videos, that with graphics cards, which is a CPU basically, if you have one where all the power rails are there, all the communication seems okay from the PCIe, but it just doesn't do anything, it doesn't reply to the computer. One common fault at that point is faulty RAM, otherwise they're dead GPU. But faulty RAM will stop a lot of graphics cards from even replying to the computer, which is kind of what this is doing. So, because the RAM is not BGA, and we can get this RAM, it's about, was it $5?
$5 for 5.
For 5. It might be worth just changing the RAM to see if it fixes it, but this is not really diagnosing the fault.
No.
This is kind of like, well, what could it be? Now, we looked at these chips here, and we looked at the ones on the back. So
mainly ADCs or DACs.
Yeah, this is a voltage regulator. This one is a dual rail voltage regulator. And then we have, as you say, mainly ADCs. One of them was another sort of voltage regulator type thing. One of them was an ADC. And then there's 3 DACs.
Yeah.
And it looks like, I haven't searched for all, but it looks like I can get all these chips as well. But they may be not cheap if we wanted to replace them.
Yeah, we came up with something $60 to $80.
Yeah, maybe something like that. So one possibility would be maybe to replace the RAM because it's not expensive, and it seems feasible to me, and Det thinks maybe, but it's fair enough, isn't it? I mean,
this is all about big maybe. Yep.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm thinking maybe change the RAM, because I think when this goes off and does something, it never comes back for some reason. So to me, I think it's doing some sort of self-diagnostic. It gets to a certain point, and it either hangs up or it continually loops. At that point.
If you look at the ADCs or DSCs, these are probably SPI devices, but they need to be initialized. So as a CPU, normally you go for them, say, hi, I'm the CPU here. Are you okay? We initialize with these parameters, and the thing says, fine, I'm done, and you go to the next one.
And if it doesn't say fine, what may happen?
This is a programmer then.
Yeah, it's down to the programmer. Yeah. So it either comes to a fatal error, or it tries again.
Yep.
But either way, it doesn't proceed.
Yeah. The one thing I find suspicious is that this thing has LEDs on the top side of the thing.
Yeah.
And none of these LEDs does anything. No blinking there, and just like beep codes from a motherboard. I thought of blink codes.
Oh, it may have some sort of error code it would display on the.
That would be my guess, because if I would build something like that, I have some error code, so I can tell the user, oh, look at this, I don't see my whatever ADC.
Yeah, that would make some sense to me as well. So, guys, that's where we are with this. I think personally, because it's not expensive, I'm going to change the RAM. I'm now at the point with this where I really, really want to see, can I fix it, or can we fix it? Because you guys are involved, I know as well. So, guys, what do you think? Well, you know where to comment. Down
Fingers
there,
crossed, my friend.
Fingers crossed, get commenting. So we'll have to leave that one at this point today. And we both look forward to seeing you all soon again on Learning Electronics Repair. Ciao for now, guys.